Chaile style.
Welcome to this week's edition of It is Chaile time. Tip, we are heavy into discussions already.
Heish.
Hey?
Heish. We are deep inside.
We're carrying out work on our sleeves, eh? So how are you doing, man?
I'm all good. How are you doing? It's my birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
How old are you today?
39.
39? Okay.
Almost there. One step.
Not old, not young either.
One step, then I'm in my 40s. Then life begins. I'm just one step.
But the beard is still black.
Somewhere.
Are you dyeing it or is it grey?
You have to get a torch in order for you to get to look for white hair. But we're getting there. But the bald, I don't have hair anymore, you know. But I think this one I've inherited from.
Oh, you look smart, man. You look like Mr. T from what? The A-Team.
BA professor.
You must just have a little A on the top.
Otherwise, what's on the news today?
In the news, well, I think a big thing now is the increase in the national minimum wage.
Yeah, so it's like 30.
It's going up from 28 Rand 79 cents an hour to 30 Rand and 23 cents an hour, effective now from the 1st of March.
Yes. So, I saw something that's still speaking about, I didn't read properly, but the 16 Rand something, I think it's on the, I had it open here earlier.
16 Rand?
Just hold on a sec. I had it here with me. Oh, workers employed on an expanded public.
Oh yeah,
What is that?
Well, in your public roads program, for instance, your public works and so, you know, they're on a different minimum wage rating as the general minimum wage rate. Historically, you also would have seen that your domestic workers used to be on a bit of a lower rate, but that's been aligned now for the last couple of years, so that's now also on 23. But your public works, the minimum wage has always been a bit lower. And that's the 16
that's
or
the 16
whatever you're saying there now, yeah.
Yeah, because when I was reading, I was like,
yeah,
I need clarification on this one, yeah. Okay.
Otherwise?
No, we're good.
So what cases are you doing this week? What are you busy with this week? What are you involved and engaged with? I had a very interesting case this morning, but anyway, yeah? You first. It's your birthday.
No, it's one of those, you know, where you find a cashier doing something wrong, someone from somewhere doing something wrong. But I have a big one on Friday, actually. I think that's
Friday?
That's the one that we...
Oh, the one we're talking about today. You're finishing that one off?
I'm finishing that one off.
Yeah, but interesting. Just for our viewers also, if you stay to the end, we have job review at the end. You know, so we have fresh vacancies we advertise at the end, so that we get from our networks. So do stay and check it out. Now, interesting. I was a witness in arbitration this morning, and you know, Tsepo, we spoke last week about the lawyers.
Yes.
So. Interesting is this employee was represented by a union during the hearing. I chaired the hearing. The hearing took over 4 hours, but now at arbitration is represented by an attorney. But now, I obviously had to testify to procedure, but you know, what's quite interesting is the questions the lawyer asked me. I just came to realize that it's all what I call it window dressing. It sounds very fancy and smart to your client here, but we that know, we like, really? I mean, you ask a charge, the charge says you have breached health and safety protocol. Mr. Nel, should it not have been, it is alleged that you have breached. And I'm like, who the hell cares, you know? I mean, you know, this is not a criminal trial. Elizabeth Averill home, you know, it's not a criminal trial. I mean, and I've even cited, you know, a Microsoft case to him where the employer charged an employee for dishonesty, and the chairperson out of his own said, no man, you're not guilty of dishonesty. I find you somewhat guilty of gross negligence. The commissioner at the CCMA almost had a seizure. You can't do that. But eventually it went on the review at the Labour Court, and the judge said, listen, man, This is labor law. We're not supposed to be too technical and complicate matters. Yes, he's not guilty of dishonesty, but you're guilty of misconduct. Now, you were careless. Don't you agree? So, what's the problem, man? Are we going to hide behind the technicalities of how we write the charge, the labels?
What is this thing?
But I could hear this lawyers is like, his line of attack was so empty and void of real substance that he was just going through the motion.
There's this thing of saying the charges are vague. What is that thing? And when you read because you will confirm also when you chair a hearing, read again those charges, and they will confirm that they understand, and then.
Yeah, but you see, this is where some confusion is coming in, and I suppose depending on what side of your table you're sitting, you try to exploit that. So if you're the lawyer representing an employee, then you're going to make a big thing of it. He obviously, in this case now, you also tried to make the case that the charges are too vague, but it wasn't too vague. Okay,
Yeah.
so he just wanted all the evidence and the arguments of the entire case be attached to the disciplinary notice to attend the hearing, and we're just like. Really, So, but to answer your question, and it is so. On the one hand, you must be careful when you're an employer and you charge an employee that the charge is not too vague, because otherwise an employee can't really prepare for the case. So, for instance, if I'm a habitual thief, I keep on stealing stuff from the employer, and one day you catch me maybe stealing a mug or something, and now you've charged me for theft. Then I'm not necessarily going to know what you're talking about. Is it the mug I stole today, the money I stole yesterday, your speaker I stole last week? What is it? So you typically want some bit more. You want to say theft. Well, typically you'll probably stay away from the charge of theft, as is probably more dishonesty or misappropriation of company property or whatever. In that, on that day, he took the mug. Then at least I know, okay, we're talking about the mug, Thank goodness he doesn't know about the speaker I took. So that's the one end of things, that you need to have a bit more flesh to it. But now the courts, once again, it's not a criminal trial. So if you look at Schedule 8.4, I'm specifically referencing the previous Code of Good Practice, it actually says that an employee must be, in the new Code of Good Practice basically say the same, that an employee must be made aware of the allegations against him and in a formal language understand. So, you don't have to give somebody a charge sheet that's done in writing. You can just verbally tell a person. So, the requirement of the court really is that the person know what's going on here, what this is about. So you can have a charge that only say dishonesty, as an example. But if you explain it to the person know what it relates to, then it's fine.
Yeah.
So, but now obviously if you're the lawyer sitting on that bench, if the charge is just dishonesty, he's going to have a, But the reality of the matter is, even though when you asked me this morning, so I said, no, Marks, Sparkles, don't go there. If you look at my hearing report, there it says there, I asked the person, do you understand exactly what these charges are about and what it relates to? And he said, yes.
Yes, I do.
And, these guys are signing off for it, so, so lawyers like making hearings very technical, and then they sound to be very smart in front of their clients, but...
It's not only lawyers, but we know.
I wanted to ask this guy, really? We're going to talk about charges too vague. I mean, he even asked me, I jeopardized the union who was representing the employee. I didn't give the union a fair opportunity to represent his member. So I'm like, seriously, this guy's a union official or shop steward from a very popular and well-known union in South Africa. Surely he would have not waited 1 second to object or to ask me to recuse myself. There was no issues there, you see. But that's how we make things out of nothing, isn't it? But anyway, so what are we talking about today, Chaile?
The high cost of dismissing an employee.
Employees.
Yes.
That relationship. I like you, tomorrow I don't.
Yes. One day you are my master. Tomorrow you are my monster.
Yeah, employers got this love-hate relationship with employees.
Exactly. Yeah.
You always employ somebody with high hopes, with anticipation, that there's a lot of expectation of how this relationship is going to evolve, and then one day you just realize, but yes, this is such a disappointment. Actually, I have one of our clients. They just can't seem to keeping their bookkeeper. And what's strange is the company's got such a nice culture. And I don't understand what it is with that one position. Look, the company's growing fast. And maybe they just, from academic perspective, can't cope with the pace and stuff, But the replacement who started there, I think June, July last year, he also resigned. My goodness. He didn't feel valued. Isn't it what is the Gen Z thing? I didn't feel valued.
I guess we'll talk about that one day.
Anyway.
Also, it's a thing of, yes, your qualification says something about you, You attached 1, 2, 3 experiences from somewhere.
Yeah.
But do you fit into the culture? I think that one is also important. I've noticed that.
In what you're saying now, if you tie it back into your title, the cost of dismissing an employee, it probably starts there. A lot of employers don't pay attention to the recruitment and the selection criteria.
Yes.
They only look at qualification and maybe experience. But they don't look at your aptitude for this position. What kind of personality profile do you have? I mean, we do psychometric assessments here, where we also look at your honesty, for instance. You will find that a lot of times employers will employ people who are actually just criminal. They may not necessarily have a criminal record, but they're criminal in terms of their personality, And that's where most of the problems start. You are recruiting the wrong person.
Exactly. Because now you employ someone because they look fancy on their CV and then how they portray themselves. And then some people can talk smooth.
Oh my goodness.
Some people can talk smooth. Like they are smooth. Like they can.
They're a DJ, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, they can sell you a fridge promising you that it's going to be full of groceries. And then you buy it without opening it. When you open it, it's empty. That's how
there's some rotten cheese in there.
Yes, that's how
good.
Rotten
cheese is nice. Yeah,
that's how good they are. So it can start with that, and then you'll find that come to operational requirements of your skills, someone does not meet the skills, and you are paying them massive salaries.
Yeah.
Then you find support for them because you say they need support into their role.
But why?
You employ.
Why do you find support for the person?
Because you so much believe in what they sold you. Remember?
So what you're saying, this person is now, maybe there's a bit of a competency issue.
Yes.
And the person is now not delivering.
Yes.
So now some employers, they will throw, instead of dealing with the issue, they throw money at it.
They throw money.
Suddenly they have assistants, they have computers, all these software programs. But the cheese is still rotten.
The cheese is still rotten. No one is thinking of saying, because I have a cheese cutter, let me just take out that mold and then...
Or do you know the other way of how employers deal with this? Instead of throwing money at the problem, they transfer them to another department.
Yes.
Then you have the same cheese rotting that side. And eventually the whole company is in codes.
So now,
up in arms.
So now in this scenario, you're only employed from July.
Is this now a case? So this is now the case you're busy dealing with?
Yes. The person is only employed from July.
Yeah.
In December, after all the support and everything, all these things that all these things that we are counting now, software programs, assistants, some people resigning because they cannot tolerate how they to work with him, and then then they go to a year-end function. But now he's been issued an MSA, I think in the beginning of December, like around the 4th, the 5th.
Yeah, I remember that because initially they reached out to me and we had a conversation. I had a bit of a consultation with them. So at that stage, there was unhappiness, more from a management side. He was not performing, he was not delivering in terms of the expectations.
Yes.
So your involvement now with the information you have, that is now in addition to what I was involved with. So then I said, look, if there's a couple of ways you can exit the relationship. I suppose you can shoot the person.
We don't promote violence.
Just please don't go shoot somebody. I said, so it's just a joke, okay? So, but look, entering into a mutual separation agreement is one of those ways you can exit, you know. But typically there's a bit of a sweetener in there, a few months extra salary, and then parties can exit the ways. But now apparently he didn't touch for that. And then one thing led to another. I had to withdraw myself from the case because now you're a chairperson in the hearing, and I can't myself be involved in that.
Yes.
So what happened or transpired thereafter, I'm not really up to speed with, but now, yeah.
So in the midst of the delay of the MSA, him sending it back to say I'm declining or I'm accepting, and then a lot of information started blossoming. Treatment, people are leaving the company
because of him. Yeah.
Because of him, and then a thorough investigation was done. And in the middle of investigation, some people were intimidated.
Oh, now it becomes a misconduct issue.
Yes, it's becoming a massive issue now. People get interviewed, and then after the interview, he will phone you and say, Nel, what were you talking to HR there? What are you talking about? Then Nel will be like, I can't do this. I'm leaving. So 2 to 3 people left because of that situation. And then in the hearing also now, I think it's getting because I can, in my line of work, in my experience, I can sense when someone is advised by a lawyer and when they are advised by comrades.
The comrades, yes.
Yeah, but this one is advised by a comrade.
Comrade, okay.
Because he already had these questions lined up, and then we spent 2 hours of going back and forth. Him saying the charges are vague, and I had to explain to him that, but here are the charges, and then when you were issued the charge sheet, you said you understand. And then this is an opportunity for you to prove your innocence, and that's why we have a platform like this. I had to emphasize on it, but he wanted to go from pillar to post. But professionally, so I put him back to the ground. And then we started 2 hours later. At 4 o'clock, now he had to run. I have to run because since I've been home, I have to go and fetch my child, what. And the employer was not impressed because I think their normal knocking off time is 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, so now the employer is stressing. It's like, so when are we going to have a continuation? Because this guy is still on suspension. You see now, cost.
Yes.
Remember now, we're still counting cost. It's continuation of cost now. Cost, because now we're still paying this guy and he's on suspension. And remember, they're saying his salary is hitting the roof. And then now there's postponements. And
he's like 100,000 a month or something.
100 plus, yeah.
100 plus.
And now, about 2 days ago, I've got an email now. I think he went to consult again with a comrade. Now, all those factors that we were arguing on the preliminary issues, now he came now, unpacked them nicely.
On the email now?
Yes. Now the HR manager is sending me that email saying, that guy unpacked them nicely, point by point, bullet points and everything. Then I just responded on one sentence. I'm like, Madam HR, unfortunately, I'm not going to deal with this. We're going to let the proceedings finish everything, and then I will go through, and then on my preliminary issues, I will state what was taken into consideration, and on what is the procedure, and then what is it. But also now I'm thinking it's another way of saying when we're going for continuation, it's going to be another delaying tactics whereby he's going to say he wants to discuss those issues. Remember now, he went to consult after the first leg of our meeting. He went to consult. Now he's going to come and say, yeah, but I cannot continue if we haven't dealt. That's how I'm foreseeing things. Yeah. We're not going to continue up until we address these things.
But you'll deal with it, yeah.
It's another continuation. It's another delaying tactic. It comes with a cost.
Yes.
You understand? So, and this, I'm telling you, it can go haywire. From there, we might go to the CCMA. From there,
yeah, we probably will
go to the labor court. From there, it can take another. And then what is it? Cost to company, resources, time, that. So my question is there any other way for things like when I know you cannot see at first hand, but when you are busy investigating, you can identify, okay, me and you, we are too experienced, in our line of work. We can see when someone is coming with tactics. But now, just to help our viewers in terms of approach,
I think there's a few things one can say there.
Yes.
Let me first deal with the skill of a manager itself, the line management. Then secondly, I will deal with a bit more HR processes that can avoid this. So my first response will be, how do we deal with this once we're now there? You have now this difficult employee or this employee who is not performing, okay? This, second to that, I will deal with how do we minimize this happening in the first place.
Yes.
Okay, so we had a business meeting with a prospective client some time back, probably about 2-3 weeks ago. And they had a bit of a similar conversation. And this is something that whenever I speak to businesses about this, I'm referencing you. I'm also referencing some other people I know who are quite experienced managers. But often you will find if there's a problematic manager or an employee, the trust relationship is already in cahoots. Okay?
Yes.
What employers sometimes or typically will do is they will charge you and put you in a hearing, and then that whole legal process starts. Now remember, now you keep on referencing the yellow bookie, you know, but this is the thing, humans operate on the emotional level and also on the academic level, or the mental level. Yeah, we think in two spaces, okay? But at the moment, think about this logically now, the moment you give somebody that charge sheet, you're starting a battle, you're starting to fight. Emotionally, that person perceives this as, fighting. Okay?
I've got.
Now there's a hearing. Now, in the hearing, now you get the comrades involved, or, you're going to go to battle now. Now you get dismissed. Now you get a lawyer involved. Okay, so now we're going to go to the CCMA, and then maybe to the Labour Court, and then maybe to the Labour Appeal Court, and so on and so forth. Now we start to fight, okay? But there's so much value in a skilled manager. Because the reality of the matter is, we are humans, we don't always like each other. There's politics between people, Sometimes you just can't work together, And there are multiple ways of how to exit this relationship. Now, just like a relationship, an employment relationship came into being because of a conversation, which is typically called the interview. Similarly, the terms and conditions of that relationship can be altered at any time as long as there was a conversation and agreement. Similarly, that employment relationship can also be terminated if there was a discussion and an agreement. So you can discuss with the person to leave, you see. Now, this is the thing. This is something that is beautiful from an experienced operations manager. We've seen it a lot in some of our clients, some of the businesses we are heavily involved with. Once you can sense that the trust relationship is tarnished, it's a matter of that manner. Often, really a lot, I almost want to say 50% of the time, if that manager can come in and say, listen, yes, a bit of a cup of coffee, let's talk, you and I. And you say, but listen, you can most now sense that this trust relationship is not going to work. And you'll be surprised how often, just because of a sensible conversation, you can actually get that guy to resign.
So I've done that in my days.
You've done it, I don't know how many times, we've worked together in corporate, so we've done it. I said 50%. I probably want to say 80% of the time. You can actually, by just having a decent conversation with a person, get them to exit out of their own. But that typically works when the environment is not malicious. There's a good culture. So when the trust relationship sours, the employee he understands that he misconducted himself. But just the power of a manager knowing how to talk and knowing how the skills of how to negotiate. Often you can avoid legal processes in its entirety, paid suspensions, just because of a normal conversation. And even in this case, I am almost convinced, had they gotten one of us, now look, your case, this is a brand new client, and I did offer it to them, okay, because I had the discussions about the MSA. If you probably had the MSA discussion with him, he probably would have accepted.
Because they speak one of the languages that I'm fluent in. You see,
you speak 7 languages.
That's another golden
you speak more. You speak emotional languages too, and there were extra money in there. So in Afrikaans, I say, hy sal gesien het die koel is deur die kerk. He's not going to survive this. So probably if you have someone that knows, that's skilled in how to talk, and we do that. I mean, even at CCMA, we often get people to withdraw their cases just because of how you talk. But anyway, that is now when you're in it. That doesn't mean you will always be successful in this approach. And yes, often you must go through the legal process, the hearings and the stuff. But I want to comment on that one thing before I go to the second route here. You made a comment about it's costly. Sometimes I wonder if this cost is not just a fixation of the employer's mind. And obviously, cost is real. But sometimes I wonder, a company can employ a person for 20 years, and then we will chair a hearing, and then typically we're trying to get a hearing report out within 48 hours. Lo and behold, if that report is 1 day late, this guy is on suspension. It costs us money. I'm like, dude, is that extra, 500 rand going to really make you poor? You've been paying him for 20 years. How really is this cost, really? I mean, my goodness. Seriously? But employers are working this thing up, he's on suspension, it costs money. It's like, how real is this?
It's an emotional thing again.
Even if it's 100,000 rand like this guy now. I mean, if you didn't take action, you would have paid him anyway. It's in the budget. It's right there. Seriously, that 1 week.
But it's an emotional thing again, because remember, I so want to see this guy out here. Hence, sometimes when you find the employee not to be guilty, but because somebody somewhere in the hierarchy has made up their mind that this guy is guilty. But because you are sitting here, you are the one now who's making a determination. You go read your case laws, you go compare this case with other previous cases, and then you see that it's not in line with, it's not severe. This misconduct is not severe. So it's something that, you can issue a final written warning, or you can just end on saying not guilty. This person is not guilty. Factuals, you give facts and this and this and this and this. But because somebody somewhere made up their mind, they get so angry.
But I suppose there's an opportunity cost too. Paying the money is one thing, but while you're on suspension, you're actually not producing. So I suppose, I'm not saying an employer's complaint is invalid.
100.
I'm just asking, sometimes we're late with 1 day with the hearing report and it's like the end of the world. But anyway, how to deal with this properly and how to minimize this kind of cost. And, people just companies don't get this. A lot of companies don't get this. You want to employ somebody, you get a CV from somewhere, you look at it and you say, yeah, employ the person. But you don't know who you're allowing into your company, into your organization here. So step one is the recruitment process. You have to pay attention to the recruitment process. That is step one. Step two, you're going to have to do some form of personality or psychometric assessment to try to understand who the person is that's coming in here. I mean, some of these assessments, they even measure your habits. Some assessments have the ideology that a person is the sum total of his habits. So if you have poor habits in life, it's going to manifest in your place of work. So these tools are available, to do your test in terms of what kind of habits do you have and does it suit your organization. Step one is recruitment. Number two is do some kind of assessment on where this person is the right person. But now step three, and this is even probably more important, probation.
Yeah. You're taking us to last week. Remember
last week.
And then we're educating, and then what I love about Chaile time is that sometimes, even though we're focusing on this topic, we will repeat some of the aspects that we dealt with last week, so that it gels in with our current topic that we are dealing with. You remember how we educated them on probation? Remember? Because sometimes it's just wording that is just sitting on the contract, and then people are not applying it in the correct manner. But up until 3 months, I'm not impressed with someone. Then they must fire.
But you see, this is the thing. Now we employ people, they're on probation, but we as an employer, we are not committed to the process itself.
Exactly.
No job descriptions, no KPIs, no performance reviews throughout this process, because right from day one, that person can then see whether they are the right fit or not. Now, at the end of the probation period, it's either they must go, now the whole legal process starts, all the cost starts, okay? Or if you did your work, you can then already assess and see, but listen, can I work with this or not? And then if you can't, then you don't appoint the person.
Yes.
If you can, at least, you know what you're getting, what you have. And then from there, a continuous PIP process, a performance improvement process for employees that are not performing. And that deals with your competence issues. It deals with your whether you are a culture fit to the organization and how do you work with other people. So it is the engagement from the employer. And that's important because keep in mind also employees changes. It's like a marriage. I mean, when you marry that young, sexy woman when she was 20 years old, by the time she's 60, she's not the same person anymore, and you neither. Okay, so just as in a marriage, you have to keep on working on that marriage. The same with employment relationship. You can't just say, okay, the person successfully passed his probation, now you're going to hands off. You have to, from an HR perspective, be engaged with an employee until the day that person maybe retire or exit the business, and shape that person. And the thing is, employees also go through biological changes in life, emotional changes. Sometimes you start off and you're excited. After 15 years, you are a bit in a rut. The job doesn't excite you anymore, but you need the money. That's why you need HR engagement and interventions all the time.
And the mental health
and the mental health issues. And if you do that, it minimizes this cost. So you can't just throw the human out there and say, listen, be like a laptop. When I put you on, you must work. That's where the cost issues are coming from. Tsepo, I'm taking over now,
No, it's fine.
But there's another thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Assholes.
That's not how we roll here, but yeah, you can continue.
When the managers are assholes. And I've seen this a lot. Sometimes a lot of times you have good people that you're starting to fight with because managers don't know how to manage. They change and flip their rules every single day.
Exactly.
Every day they send you an email. This is now the new policy. After 10 years, there's like 3 million policies. That manager doesn't even put the policies in the file. That manager himself can't even adhere to the everyday policies. His emails out. But one day when you don't like that person, then suddenly you're going to print the sent items of this last 15 years. Oh, there are 400 policies. Remember that policy 1, 2, 3, 4 of 7 years ago? I
actually dismissed the manager about 3-4 weeks ago in Nelspruit somewhere.
Yeah.
So because they work with cell phones and contracts and what. So now there's this thing whereby when you upgrade for your cell phone, you can do it earlier than what your contract is saying. But he told all the staff in his store that no one is going to do the early upgrade on cell phones.
But why?
And now what happened is there was one incident when one client came in and opted for that early upgrade of the contract. But now the employee in question did not explain to him. It comes with an extra cost, whatever.
Yeah.
Because he was just trying to close a sale because they're getting commissions. So that led to the customer complaint, and then now this manager, out of his own, he decided to change this rule. That no one is going to do that.
But this is the thing I'm talking about.
Now, because there's, it's in Nelspruit, I think there's a Riverside, and the other one is close by. It's not far. So now this sales agent, have to send clients who wants to renew to the other branch. Now the manager in the other branch is like, why are you always sending clients here? Because now they're complaining to us. An investigation was done, and then apparently this guy implemented this law some time ago, and then it's not written.
So employers or managers sometimes irrational behavior. They conduct themselves in an arbitrary manner, and they make decisions on the whim, which is not really thought through. It is just because they're now in power and they can do this. And once again, where I've seen this a lot is the manager is very quick on his laptop. Now this is a new rule. Tomorrow there's another rule for something else. Then after a year, you have 25 new policies. He doesn't even know himself what the policies he created. He doesn't put it somewhere in a file. It's just he wants emotional satisfaction that I've now sorted the people out. But eventually, everybody's up in arms, in cahoots. They're starting to fight with one another because of managers making irrational decisions. And you know how often I've seen this?
Yes.
When you start walking in between staff, they laugh under their arm. That stupid guy, this stupid policy, doesn't know what he's doing. And
you ended up being in power and then get drunk by power and then end up...
Us staff, what do they think of their bosses?
Ended up taking...
They will never admit it, but in their hearts, it's like stupid.
Ended up taking a hand lotion that does not belong to you.
So it's important to do the recruitment process, to do the PIP process, to manage people's performance and be engaging with your staff, but also to upskill management in how to manage, how to make good decisions, how to involve and include people in the decision-making processes, how to make rational and fair decisions, This morning I had a consult with the company and I want to introduce a parental leave policy because the Constitutional Court changed has basically declared maternity leave null and voided. Now you've got parental leave with 4.10 days, for when you go on when you have a child or your spouse got a child. But now it's interesting how the knee-jerk response was. Now they've got that they pay 50% of maternity benefits to women under the old regime.
Yes.
It's interesting how
the old regime,
if I can put it that way. But now it's interesting how the knee-jerk response is. Can't we just send out a policy to say, look, from now on there's no more payment benefits? So I'm like, don't you think you should talk to your people? Have a bit of a consultation to tell them the situation. For practical reasons, the Constitutional Court declared that provision in the contract that relates to maternity leave now illegal because it doesn't exist in law anymore. So we need to come up with something else now. Talk to your people, but no, just change it.
No, it's bad. It's bad. That's why I'm like, after handling this case, then I went and think. I'm like, sometimes costs can be avoided.
Yeah.
You can avoid those costs. It's not because we read this book, but it's because also we've been on the ground, and then we understand a lot of cultures, and then we've went through from your retail stores to your corporate world, to
hospitality,
logistics, construction. We've been like almost everywhere. So, and then we take effort to apply our mind on how these people are thinking on their level. And I always tell people that sitting in the office somewhere doesn't mean you are equal to this guy because you don't know how they think. But this is where we come in. Again, that's when you call us as an employer so that we can come and assist you in situations like this.
But I can say this, Chepo, if they want to get rid of people without incurring the cost, they must just invite you just to have a talk. You are a DJ on weekends too, so you can have like DJ labor law moves there, you see.
Yeah, but it comes with a skill,
Chepo, I've seen. I don't know how the heck you do it. But you'll be in the middle of the arbitration. The commissioner will go to the bathroom. When they come back, the employee to withdraw the case.
And the commissioner will be like,
what you tell them, the staff, I've got no idea.
And remember the commissioner asking to take a call because they were fixing, he had a geyser burst at his house. Yeah, so he had to take that call because he was talking to the guy who was fixing. Then I started talking to this guy. I'm like, my man, look at the future. Don't limit yourself here, Take this 2 months, man, or this 1 month or something. I don't know what is that I was putting on the table. And when the commissioner comes over and says, Commissioner, the gentleman wants to speak to you. No, and then I looked that way. Started talking to the commissioner. No, I'm thinking, and then the gentleman says he's going to give me a good reference. The commissioner's like, no, he's a good gentleman. This one. You know which commissioner is that? The one who you argued with at some point.
At Johannesburg?
At Johannesburg.
That commissioner?
That commissioner.
Oof, I like that commissioner. He's probably the most strictest commissioner I've had in my life, but yes, he's fair, right?
Yeah, so what I was saying is that from your suspension, from operational requirements in the business, when you were giving let's say, head of the department support, applications or softwares, to the suspension, to the investigation, to CCMA arbitration, to the labor court, and it can end up being like as messy as this, like this case law that I've got here, September and others versus CMI Business Enterprises. The labor court awarded the maximum compensation of 24 months based on dismissal based on racial discrimination, which was later contested at the Constitutional Court. You see now?
Yeah, there's a racial issue again,
Yeah, so...
very costly.
Yeah, so I'm just saying...
Sometimes you can avoid this.
You can avoid this. And then wasting time. Because you still need to go and recruit a replacement. It's going to cost you, again, time.
Yeah, but just on that, just yesterday I had a person calling me. One of their clients had a meeting with their staff, and the client, so that, there's no IR issue here really, but the client used the K word.
Ish.
You see, so this is a thing, I mean, now that person was reported to his company, and I'm sure they will be dealing with it. But this is a thing. A company needs to focus on their own management team, training them how to manage, how to be reasonable. Be careful what you say. People need to be educated. And if not, then you have what you have there, automatic unfair dismissal, 24 months compensation because of racism.
100%.
It can't be avoided by just training your managers.
Yeah, no, I think you've said it a handful.
Yeah, it was quite a handful.
Yeah.
A mouthful.
We're educating our people very well, and then, yeah. But when they need services like this, we are just a phone call away or an email.
A WhatsApp away. Just a WhatsApp.
Away. Yeah.
Nationwide.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere you go. But anyway. Tsepo, thank you.
Thank you very much. You spoke about the job review, so we don't need to.
Yeah, we have job review now, so just stay and check out some fresh jobs there.
Okay. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, Harmony people. Let's have a look at some of the vacancies posted nationwide on our Harmony People's Network this week. First up, there is a position for a Chief Financial Officer in the telecommunications industry in Johannesburg. Better Home has a position available for an HR graduate in Pretoria. In Cape Town, there is an opportunity for a personal assistant in the distribution sector. There is also an urgent position for an HR practitioner in Limpopo. For the full information of the mentioned positions, how to apply, as well as more available positions, find the vacancy link in the description. You will also find a link to a useful video on how to compose a winning CV and have a successful interview. Tune in again next week for more Harmony vacancies.